Well, hello. We are back. It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
It's been quite a number of months, but we just came from watching the movie Sound of Freedom yesterday in Humboldt. And just a shout out to Real Attractions for bringing it to this city. We tried to see it the first night, but it was just sold out. One ticket was left. And so we had to come back the next day, get our tickets in advance because people are serious about this movie.
The guy was like, come early because people are sitting in the seats an hour earlier. So we're like, okay.
In Humboldt here? I mean, I was so impressed. I was so impressed. So shout outs to Real Attractions and for everybody who's gone out to support this movie. Okay, so this is a bit of a review for the show.
No spoilers, so don't worry.
Oh, really? I thought we were gonna do spoilers. There's no way that we can't do spoilers.
Well,
is there?
No, we'll do no spoilers of what happens, but we'll talk about things that they expect. See.
And we'll address even why it's being called controversial. My sister and I we were wondering, okay, where's the controversy?
Exactly.
The controversy is that we are watching a film that is exposing human trafficking, or and people are keeping quiet about it. Is that the controversy, or
it didn't make sense?
We couldn't put the two together. Yeah. But anyway, we'll get into it. Sound of Freedom. So freedom has a voice. Freedom has a sound. So as I was watching, I was like, okay, what can I get from this? You know, and you can see so many wonderful themes throughout the movie, even though it's on the premise of two small children who are being trafficked, and just kind of the course that happens with them. But it was a movie of hope. Really, it was.
I tend not to want to watch these movies because I feel like I'm just going to be depressed.
Let's talk about
for the next month.
Let's talk about
it. But this was hopeful at the end. There's there's hope. There's always hope.
There's always hope. And you see, that's the thing. And maybe that's why some people will be hesitant to watch it. Because, people don't like being uncomfortable. Right? And, it's almost like you got to just face your fears for the greater good in a way. And the movie is, it was very well done. And so, nothing to fear. Have no fear. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
What you won't be okay with is human trafficking.
Exactly.
You will not be okay with that. I'm aware that it exists and that it's happening, but when you see the way they project it in the movie, very tastefully done.
It was.
You don't see anything physically happening to any child in terms of that stuff. But I was just so sickened by what happens to children.
Yeah.
That it caused something to rise in me. I was literally sick in the theater. I thought I wouldn't even be able to continue on with it because again, they didn't show anything.
Exactly, and that's how tasteful they were. They didn't show anything, but you will understand what's happening.
Yes. So if you see, one of the young kids in a room with an adult, it doesn't show them doing anything, but the camera will just pan to another scene, and things happened. You know what? And so, just the idea and the thought of that sickened me intensely, and I was like, "How are we
gonna finish this movie?
How are we gonna finish this movie? But what are we gonna do about it? What are we going to do about this?
Right.
So at the end of the movie, there's an opportunity to pay it forward, so you can pay for someone else to watch it who maybe can't afford it or for whatever reason. And so these are some of the ways that you can help get the message. So the first message is awareness.
Number one.
Awareness of what the issue is, and then now action. What can we do about it? But okay, let's go into the movie. The movie opens up with the main character, who's played by Jim Caviezel. And did you want to kind of...
Well, I don't know.
Can't remember.
I can't remember the actual names.
Okay. No, well, he plays the... He's not with the FBI.
FBI. In beginning, he's Homeland Security.
Okay. See? You're on
it. Homeland Security.
And it opens up with some sort of a stakeout, or... they're trying to bust this guy, and... He is, I guess, organizing this whole young children
We can't even explain. It was like new things that we even know happened in the world. They were exposing
how you catalog children. Who that was different. I never seen or expected that children were cataloged according to their ages and it was almost like according to seasons. I think what was the name of that catalog?
It was an April or spring season of children. It's like,
well, anyway.
Yeah.
And so maybe we should fast forward to one of the key. One of the highlights in the film, where a young boy he's rescued by Jim Caviezel's character Tim, and he was rescued by the boy, and the boy had a sister who was also kidnapped and enslaved. First of all, can we just talk about kidnappings? How people are kidnapped, especially young people when they go missing.
Yeah.
I feel that majority of them or a lot of them are trafficked.
Absolutely.
We used to know about like serial killers going around, taking people, killing them, and all that. But I think majority of those who go missing are put into the human traffic trade.
Yeah.
So this young boy, he gets rescued, and he pretty much gives. Jim Caviezel's character like a mandate, like find my sister.
Yeah,
this boy is like how old? 7?
He's like 7,
maybe
7,
like 5.
And innocent, and
can you imagine like this age?
Yeah.
So he gives him his necklace that his sister had handed off to him, and gives it to Jim Caviezel's character Tim, and commissions the man. And it was like a form of impartation. The young boy hugs.
Yes.
This Tim character hugs him tight, commissioning him, saying, find my sister.
You found me, find my sister.
He's like, you rescue children?
Yeah.
And so that's now where the movie begins, or I guess really starts with Tim finding this young boy's sister. I think she was 11.
Probably, yeah. A bit older, but not that much than the little boy.
And you're the one that pointed out how it was the one, the one child that he was willing to risk his life. It's not that he was willing to risk his life for 100 or 1,000 children.
Yes. It was just the one.
Just the one.
Yes.
And it made me. It reminded me of how Jesus. How when a sheep is lost, he will leave the 99. In the scriptures, it talks about that. He will leave the 99 and he will go for, even if it's just the one. The one that's lost. And anyway, did you want to kind of
that? It was so impactful, especially because he was doing other things. He was helping, he was saving lives, but he was just, I need this one. Like the whole movie, it's like, I need this one child. I'm going after to find her. Through a whole lot of issues and problems at the cost of his life. Like he had a family, he had children.
Yes, indeed.
And to see his passion, to be like, no, I need to rescue this girl. It was incredible.
And even his wife, for her to also, she even said, I feel like she's our child.
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe that's where it starts, where we feel that these children are our children.
Yeah.
Then
they're not separate from us. They're our family.
Yeah, maybe then we would be a little bit more aggressive with how we could help. At the end of the movie, they talk about how human trafficking is almost the number 1 industry in the world. How many billions?
$1 billion, yeah. Billions.
Or
billions. It's
billions.
Billions.
And the character had said, Jim had said it's because with like drugs. I think drugs is the number 1 industry. And he said that this is now rising even higher than drugs because with children, it's kind of like you can resell them each time. But with drugs, it's like a one-time thing. And then the person, has to go back, get a new whatever amount, yada, yada. But with children, you can just keep on reusing. It just, the idea it's sickening. But this movie was tastefully done in that you're able to watch it and receive and receive what they have to say. What are some of the other highlights in the movie that were like?
I get, yeah, it's a very, like, the theme was definitely good versus evil. And
Very much.
so part of my training as a screenwriter is to see what the theme of the movie is.
Let's go.
So it's stated for earlier on, and it was about this world is an evil place. And so throughout the movie, you're going to debate, is the world that evil? Will good prevail? How is that going to look like? And so throughout the movie, you're like, oh my gosh, this world is terrible. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this world, because how could this be happening to innocent children? Children.
Every day.
How are people able to just take children and use them like this? And another thing that really stood out to me was they had like evil, and then they had good, and I'm glad that they used men as the people who were saving, because a lot of the time, sometimes they're like, oh, men are the problem, men are the issue, men are doing all these things, but then there are also these great men who will lay down their lives for people, for children, for strangers. So there was that balance, so that it wasn't like, oh, men are just evil. It depends on like who you're following. You're like, if God is your source, then you're going to follow and do things, from a good place and help people. So that stood out to me.
Okay, so then let's kind of go there with the whole good and evil. Because again, that was one of that was the theme of the film, really.
Yeah.
How good conquers evil, how light conquers the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a particular scene, not necessarily a spoiler alert, but one of the characters was saying how, because he was now in the industry of saving children too, and how he found himself in a very
that
black situation.
Yeah.
And he didn't know that he was with a girl who was underage, because I guess she got her from the streets and she handled herself like an adult, but she was only 14. And he said there was a script. His line was like, when he realized that she was underage, that's when he began to judge himself.
Yeah.
And the Bible talks about us judging ourselves. When we judge ourselves, we will not be judged. And so this guy, he felt. He was like, when he looked at the girl, he saw a darkness.
Yeah, in her eyes.
Yes,
yeah.
and so
sadness.
then he said, as he thought about it, he realized that he was the darkness. He was judging himself. He was the darkness, and he finalized and he said, the darkness must die. Is that what he said?
Yes.
He said the darkness must die, and so he took a gun, and he was literally ready to judge himself with death.
Yeah.
And he said, if you don't believe in God,
that moment.
That's a moment when he started to believe. And I guess he pulled the trigger and nothing happened. And that's when he changed his life around and dedicated it towards rescuing children.
Yeah.
So he would join the so-called black market, and he would buy the children their freedom.
Yeah.
So, these, I don't even know how to call them, pedophiles to the highest degree would sell these children to him, thinking that he was, part of the market, but he would get them to free them, to free them.
Yeah.
And I just thought how even someone who was into criminal things could give himself such a judgment.
Right.
He knew he deserved to die, so he was going to do it himself. He was going to do it himself.
Yeah.
I think, and I think this is, I don't know if he said it, but, or maybe I heard it somewhere else, how in everybody there is a certain amount of righteousness there. Even if you're the most evil person, knows that what they're doing is evil.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing is evil. There was a character, a girl who was an agent who would recruit the children. Even as she was recruiting the children,
there are glimpses.
There's glimpses where she, you can see that she knows this is wrong, but she's still going ahead for it for not even that much money.
Yeah.
$100,000, and whatnot. So, and also the scene where, he's rescuing the girl. Talk about darkness and light.
Oh my goodness.
That battle?
The struggle.
The so-called drug lord that had this little girl that he was looking to save, Tim Tim, the character who's rescuing children, comes into direct contact with this guy as he's trying to rescue the girl.
Yeah.
And the way they shot
That
the
was
cinematography,
that was evil
at its best.
Yeah.
And goodness, light at its best too. And it
was like the angel Michael and then Lucifer fight. It was like
it felt like
it felt like that.
It came off the screen like that.
Like there was a battle for this girl,
for her soul.
Yeah.
A major battle, and the girl is watching. She's closing her eyes, and then she's watching, and she's closing her eyes. And like you could just see like the punches, the blows, slow motion, the lighting.
It was intense.
It's like you could see it's spiritual forces that are at work here. We see two people fighting, and this is based on a true story. Yeah, right.
It is.
It's based on a true story. He finally gets the girl, and they book it He is telling
like, let's go.
He's like, let's go.
Oh my gosh.
They're in the deep jungle, okay? The jungle of the jungle.
Yeah.
And it's late at night, and they have to get into this boat, canoe, and go over the water. And as I was watching, I was like, we see just him and this little girl. But I believe all of heaven's armies
absolutely
were backing this guy.
Yeah, because there is no way. There was also this sense of, I think, as human beings, we know that good will win.
Yeah.
We know, and so that's why I don't like movies where it has a bad ending. Although there are bad endings for movies where it's a warning, it's a lesson, it's a message. But there was something about this, good will win. There's no option. Good wins.
It's got to win. It's got to win. Even though, like, all these drug lords with machine guns and, because Jim Caviezel's character didn't have any weapons.
No weapons.
He was fighting raw. And since this is based on a true story, I can assume that he didn't go into this high drug specialized crime area with no weapons, because they would have killed him on the spot.
Right.
He went in as a medical doctor.
Posing as a doctor.
Yeah, posing as a doctor with vaccines and all that to inject people, but he was really looking for this young girl. But I just
definitely spoilers. We're gonna give
I'm
it.
Sorry for that.
We're gonna give it in the beginning because
I think we need to do that so that people can be at ease.
That it's not gonna be
like you'll be able to take it. You can handle it. You can do this. You can really do this. So anyway, he's on the water, and I'm like, I don't know if you've watched Harriet Tubman, where she's freeing the slaves. It looks like it's just one lady who's freeing all these slaves, but I believe angel armies,
heaven's armies,
all of heaven was backing her to help free these slaves.
Yeah.
In the same way, Tim, this character, as he's with this girl, and you see bullets flying, and
because at first it's like, how are they gonna get out? They're in the middle of the jungle. They can't see.
Night.
I was like,
but this is based on a true story.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah.
And so in the end they get the girl, but the girl has been through a lot. Her brother has been through a lot.
Yeah.
She's reunited with her father. The movie starts with the girl playing the drum, and now it ends with her playing the drum, and she's able to sing. Sing now with the voice of freedom, sound of freedom. Yeah, freedom. It has a sound. Freedom has a sound. It has a voice. It can speak. Freedom can speak, and so it resonates throughout the whole movie. You see that the voice of freedom just it permeates the whole script here.
Yeah.
So,
and it was what also struck me is when because sometimes movie titles will be shown in the film itself. So there was a moment where the other character says, "What does this sound like? This is the sound of freedom," and it was children playing and singing. It's something that's so normal, or it seems like it's so. Like that's every child should have that right to just play and sing,
be
and
free.
that is the sound of freedom.
And that was very pivotal, because they had all been brought to a place to now service these old men and whatnot, and that's where the drug bust, I guess what do you call it, human trafficking bust happened. And, once the children realized that they were free, they didn't have to do anything they didn't want to anymore, they began to sing, and there was like a beat.
Yeah, it had a rhythm to it.
It had a rhythm. So the Sound of Freedom has a rhythm.
Mm.
It has a rhythm. It has a frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it the atmosphere changed.
Yeah.
The atmosphere changed in the whole place. The children were smiling, and it was almost like they became children again.
Yes. That was it. Because they walked in at first, their hands were down, their faces were down. And then at the end of that scene, they were children.
They became children again. They became children again. So we would encourage you to watch it. It brings awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You can't change nothing you don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
So well done to all the actors and the children.
Amazing. The actors.
Children actors. Oh.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Woo!
Yeah.
Excellent. And of course, Jim Caviezel, this man, he always
Brilliant.
understands his assignment.
Brilliant.
He always understands his assignment. So check it out. Please support it in any way that you can. And let's be on this campaign to stop human trafficking.
Yeah.
All right, especially children,
child
slavery. I think enough is enough.
It's messed up. It needs to end.
I think enough is enough.
It needs to end.
Enough is enough. And I was telling my sister today, the irony of all of this is that as this is becoming almost like the over $1 billion industry or the number one industry, and I'm not calling that into being. In fact, that will change. But it's only a few. It's only a select few that are feeding this industry.
Yeah.
So that makes you wonder. Okay, those who are feeding this industry are must be very, very, very wealthy
in order to drive this to be that lucrative for people to continue doing that.
It must be people who are very, very wealthy, almost like in the elite.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why there's the controversy, because it's exposing that, okay, this has got to be only a certain group of people. They're not many. That's the other thing too. It's not like the masses are supporting this.
No.
It's just it's a small group that are feeding this monster, and the monster must die.
Absolutely.
The monster must die. Enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And however way we can help, we're going to figure out how we're going to do that. Prayer is very powerful. I know some people, they laugh, they scoff. But Jesus said, men ought always to pray and faint not. There's something about praying that can release things and can shift things and can make what seems to be bad or hopeless turn into something so glorious and beautiful. Yeah. I think that's about it for highlights, maybe?
Yeah.
Anything else that jumped?
No, like you've summarized it, like praying. There are also ministries that are involved in it. So if you want to give, if you want to donate, definitely
we'll put them in the link.
That
we'll put them in the link.
Have an impact for sure.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. We will catch you again later. Isn't it awesome to have my sister back?
We're back.
Oh, this is
back.
Good. And we'll be back again. All right. So please sit tight and God bless.
Bless. Bye.